don't know if the banks are doing it willingly or not. A lot of these people, a lot of these banks are woke, obviously. If they make services available to the public, then the public should have availability of the services. That's just what I believe. And this is the good news, I think, that most affects the 18 to 29-year-olds in a way that might move the numbers. And maybe this is just me trying to be too optimistic, but I thought it was a cool story that not a lot of people talked about. This almost flew under my radar because there was so much other stuff going on. But Trump signs an executive order going after debanking. You're going to have to wait for this one. President Trump signed an executive order last Thursday that aims to punish banks for restricting services to customers based on their political or religious beliefs, formalizing debanking protections that conservatives and crypto industry advocates have been pushing for. The order directs federal banking regulators to remove the reputation risk language from their guidance to lending institutions, a broad concept that crypto and other businesses say led mainstream lenders to ice them out. While major banks have long denied having a political litmus test for their clients, the executive order adopts a right-wing claim that individuals, their businesses, and their families have been subject to debanking on the basis of their political affiliations, religious beliefs, or lawful business activities. So I read some of the executive order, and it talks about ensuring that banks have non-subjective measures when it comes to who to extend services to. Now, I can think of quite a few people who probably fell prey to this. I'm pretty sure Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon had some banks canceled. I'm pretty sure Nick Fuentes can't get a bank. Pretty sure a lot of these, like some of the alt tech companies, payment processors wouldn't serve them and stuff like that. My understanding is this goes after all of that. And it's wild that there wasn't more news. And obviously it's still an executive order, but it's like, well, the banks are going to change their policies. It'll probably be sticky. People will probably get used to having the objective measures that they put in place. And quite frankly, they'll be servicing more people. So it's better for their business. And I don't know if the banks are doing it willingly or not. A lot of these people, a lot of these banks are woke, obviously, but that doesn't mean every person in the bank is woke. And it probably means that what was happening is there were pressure campaigns to go after these people, and they just fold because it's easy to stay out of the headlines by folding and trampling on somebody's rights or whatever. But, if they make services available to the public, then the public should have availability of the services. That's just what I believe. But the connection is kind of wild because there's something totally different going on and it overlaps with this. Steam censorship controversy deepens as petition against Visa and MasterCard surpasses 77,000 signatures. This is from July 25th. So you probably have to have been a gamer to understand what's going on here, but Steam is a digital services platform that sells the digital rights to video games. It's the biggest one. Millions and millions and millions of people use it. And my understanding is that Visa and MasterCard came to Steam and threatened to remove payment processing services. I don't know the specifics because of certain games on there that they didn't like, certain adult-oriented games. And there was a big hoopla and up in arms on Reddit gaming communities because these things were getting shut down. Big fight against, While Valve didn't elaborate on the specifics, the impact was almost immediate. Nearly 100 adult-themed games were quietly removed from Steam, many of which explored taboo topics like non-consensual fantasies, hypnosis, or slavery, despite being clearly labeled for mature audiences containing no real-life illegal content. Okay, so it sounds like a bunch of pervs. But the problem is that, not like most games contain some aspect of adult content. Like you take your look at things like Baldur's Gate 3. And people are concerned already about the influence of the video game developer community and ecosystem on the content of games. You might not be aware of this, but it's real big up in arms. Games have turned woke. They're forcing like ugly characters, stupid woke dialogue and Mary Sue characters and feminism and all this stuff down gamers' throats. And gamers are kind of pissed off about it. And so I don't know objectively how big this movement was, but I know it got attention on Reddit. And people are upset when some outside influence messes with their games. And that was obviously before Trump's executive order came out. But I mean, it progressed to the point where MasterCard's deflecting blame for non-safe for work games being taken down. But Valve said the payment processor specifically cited MasterCard rule about damaging the brand. This is the exact rule. So MasterCard has some rule that says, well, if it damages our brand, reputational risk, we can shut it down. Trump's executive order says no, not allowed to do that because it's super subjective and it can't be necessarily evenly applied. And it was being used against conservatives. That's why Trump shut it down. Or maybe, as Asmongold pointed out, maybe Barron just wanted to play one of these not safe for work games. But this is what I thought was fascinating, and this is why I saw the story. You might not know who Asmongold is. He's a very prominent Twitch streamer. Twitch is kind of like YouTube, but it's almost all live streams, and it's mostly gamers, young people and Zoomers watching each other play video games and commenting and giving money and, long story. But he's one of the biggest ones. He's been around, I think, since the World of Warcraft days. This is his YouTube channel, which he doesn't even stream on, and it's got 4 million subscribers. He's got another maybe 4 or 5 million across 2 Twitch channels. Hundreds of thousands of people watch his streams. And this video here where he talks about it, 1.6 million views. Now, this guy is not a political junkie. He's a very intelligent, raging independent with a lot of socially progressive viewpoints, but also a lot of what I would call common sense, objective takes about things that are unjust or incorrect. And he's been an absolute thrill to watch over the last year or two because he has some really intelligent takes. And it's weird to hear them coming from him. This is a big, long story about this guy. He's a very interesting character. Apparently, he doesn't bathe very often, and his room's full of like rat feces, but he makes millions of dollars. I don't know. But I follow him, and I think he's awesome. But he did this video about Trump signing an executive order that can save Steam and went on to rant about how unbelievable it was that Trump did this. Look at a like ratio of over 99% on YouTube, full of young people. This is the gaming community. This is 18 to 29-year-old male gamers. And 1.6 million, probably across all platforms. I'm guessing by the time this is done, 3-4 million people will watch this. And this isn't the last time he's going to talk about this. He's going to talk about this. This is a big thing because this is changing the amount of products that are available on the amount of people that use Steam is incredible. The subreddit for gaming has 48 million followers. Now, Reddit isn't necessarily giving Trump credit for this, but this is going to percolate. Anyways, I thought it was funny just because he had an incredible quote about Trump doing this. And part of this is you just have to know the guy and where this is coming from. This is like kind of a big deal, I think.
Networks are essentially the roads of the digital economy. By controlling
He's reacting to somebody else's video.
These roads, these companies can stop anyone they disagree with from doing business, even if they haven't broken any real laws. So to fight back against this, President Trump has signed a new executive order called Guaranteeing Fair Banking for All Americans. This is a direct response to what the president's office...
The first gamer president.
The first gamer president.
Gentlemen, we're back.
Oh, sorry.
I never thought that in our darkest hour, when our anime, cat girl, incest, waifu video games were being taken away from us, our knight in shining armor would be a orange 79-year-old man who says everything's computer when he steps into a Tesla. I would have never expected this. Not in a million years.
Incredible. So this is a big topic. A lot of people are talking about this on YouTube. Like he's reacting to it because there's multiple videos about it. Other people are talking about it. Probably millions and millions of views. Is it the biggest issue in gaming? Probably not. Like, Gamergate stuff's bigger. I don't know. But this is the kind of stuff I think that's going to move 18 to 29-year-old numbers. We actually have polling, I think, that shows that a significant portion of them play non-casual games. Something we're going to have to do more polling on for sure. But I should probably pull in the whole idea of debanking and whether people support this executive order. I don't know. Thought it was a big story. He's a fascinating follow, but Reddit is kind of a buzz with this topic. They're putting memes on here. It's like, yeah, there is a double standard. Visa and MasterCard cracking down on certain things and not others. Apparently, this person just opened up an OnlyFans account on their very first minute of being 18. Visa and MasterCard don't have a problem with that. They just have a problem with, I guess some people's perverted stuff. It's really more than that. Like, this was just the most salient part of the argument. It was an argument that has permeated all gaming, again, because how much people are upset about the outside influences in these games. And there's, just like movies, just like all the Marvel, Star Wars stuff, there's been massive blowback about woke overreach into this very unique aspect of young people's